today's edition of the Nevada City Planning Commission. This is the December 19th, 2024 meeting, and we're called to order. I will say that this Planning Commission convenes on the ancestral territories of the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Anne, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Donna, roll call, please.
Commissioner Cisco Martinez,
Here.
Vice Chair Amy Cobden,
Here.
and Chair Nye.
Here. The opportunity is now for public comment for any item not on the agenda, and all items on the agenda will have their own public comment period. So if no one has anything to say now, then fine. Next is the consent calendar. It's that echo thing.
Sorry.
Will that continue? Oh, good, okay. The consent calendar is, the consent agenda is routine items, and all recommended actions of the staff report will be approved in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the commission or public requests otherwise, in which case the item will be removed for separate consideration. So, motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I will note that there was an error that I just fixed this morning in there regarding the vote on the mural. So that was updated to show that Rod Brown had a vote of no.
Oh,
So it was 2 yes and 1 no for the motion that was made for that project.
okay, thank you. The next item is Planning Commission reorganization. We changed leadership or call for a motion and vote to change leadership every year, kind of consistently with the City Council. We're missing a couple of members, so we're going to continue that, or I move to continue that.
Second.
Yeah,
Until the next meeting.
yeah, when there's more of us. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Continue to the next meeting. Okay, item 5, 316 Nevada Street, variance, demolition, and architectural review. And Lisa, our planner, would you introduce this for us?
Yes. I will invite the applicant up to join us, Alan, and I think your name is Mark, right? Yeah. Come on up and sit here if you like.
Thank you.
So the application before you today for this item is a request for a variance, a demolition permit, and an architectural review for an architectural structure at 316 Nevada Street. The property is 1.44 acres in size. The side setback is 5 foot, the rear is 25 foot. And the age of the original residence is unknown, but it was likely constructed in the 1880s, as well as the barn structure that is the subject of discussion today. The style of the residence is Victorian, and the barn could be described as mother-lode architecture. The Sanborn map does not show the property. It was outside of the map extent. So the proposal is for the barn structure to be improved so that it can be structurally sound to support the weight of solar panels and also to make the building usable again. The solar panels also, or the size of the solar system on the barn can be extended by allowing for a shed roof on the rear of the building, or the part of the building that faces the rear lot line. And the request for a variance includes about a 5-foot encroachment into that rear yard setback. I will note that the property, Allen's property, was split in the 1950s, and that the property that is currently behind this property was split off of this in the 50s, and at that time an easement was granted for the existing area where the driveway is. So Allen has an easement across that neighbor's property, which I can show you more later on the site plan. Basically, my point in bringing that up is that even though the rear lot line sits next to the driveway, an easement exists on the other side of that lot line. So it's a no-build area for any future development on that neighbor's property. The building does sit at the side yard property line and comes right up to it. So you'll see that on the site plan. The proposal for a demolition does not come to you because they want to tear the building down, but rather that they want to repair and strengthen the building and use new materials. So whenever 25% of any existing wall area or building materials are to be removed or changed, it requires a demolition permit, with the Planning Commission acting as the discretionary body for that. For the architectural review, the improvements of the barn include James Hardy plank lap siding, and combined with a Hardy shingle siding in the gable ends of the building, and Geldwen W5500 clad wood windows. The colors are proposed to be Benjamin Moore, which I have the color chip here, current red, and Benjamin Moore Swiss coffee for the trim. I can circulate those. And then as far as change in materials, the Planning Commission is the review body for that as well. There is an allowance for non-conforming buildings to be enlarged, extended, reconstructed, or structurally altered, not requiring a variance. And there's 4 conditions that can support that. And that would be potentially a city planner level review, or in this case, it would still come to you for demolition and architectural review. And that would require that the building be built before 1973, that the nonconformance be based on an existing setback encroachment, that no portion of the proposed new building will encroach into the setbacks, and that the zoning is R1 or R2 with no conditional uses. So since this project proposes to be enlarged into the setback, it will require a variance to be built in its proposed configuration. I think that pretty much covers the application, and I'll let the applicant and his designer add anything that I may have missed or that they'd like to just add on to what I stated.
Is that live?
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Lisa.
The red button's on, yeah. And would
Okay.
you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Alan Porson, owner of 316 Nevada Street, and Mark Flatter, my helper on this project. Also a city resident down on Mill Street. Yeah, so we want to save the building. It's in seriously bad shape, so we want to reinforce it. We want to keep as much of the vintage stuff that's there. I think we can keep everything but the siding, frankly. But we want to keep the character of that building and build it, back to that state. And then the addition of the shed roof was to support the use. The intention is to get solar on that barn, and that And so the property has a lot of legacy trees, and there's shade on all the other roofs, but for that one location. So to make the solar project feasible, that shed roof will add about another 20 to 5% to the whole system design, which is substantial. It's a 5,000 square foot house. It can, energy prices are only going to go up, so the intention is to, put a shed roof there, keep it in the consistent pitch with some of the other shed roofs in the property. There's several outbuildings there, and then basically make it sustainable into the future. Nice, beautiful barn that generates energy. So that's the whole intention of it. And as Lisa says, the property was contiguous, and then the family split off that part, and we do have an easement, so that driveway is a no-build zone, as you called out. So that's really the whole intention of the game plan. It's a beautiful, beautiful property, beautiful town. Just want to set it up for, for as long as it can. Anyway, it's the right project for the property, I believe, and we'll do it lovingly.
I'll add to it a little bit too, is the windows that we chose, they are wood frame to kind of match what's around, and they're also double hung instead of sliders. Originally we had sliders, and Lisa kind of said, yeah, kind of frown on sliders, so we switched to double hung. And the siding, we can choose a pattern that pretty much matches the existing siding with a cove. So it's a cove lap siding, 1x8, I think it is. So those are my inputs.
And the hardy board's selected because of the fire aspect of it. I mean, that's never going to get better either. So we're doing the best we can, right, with the plan.
Anything to add now, Lisa? Anything you'd like to add?
No, I'm just ready for any questions that the commission has.
Okay, so we'll ask some questions. Maybe, Ann, do you have any questions for the applicant or for Lisa?
I have a just curiosity question. I like what you're saying. I don't have any, that's discussion, never mind. What made you decide to have the porches on the side? Just to make it more usable, or just like a nice place to sit? I like it. I'm curious.
The shed roofs,
To have.
the shed roof is going to be, on top of that shed roof is going to be another 25% of the.
Support. Got
of
it.
the
Okay.
solar. So it also-
And more solar.
Yeah.
More
It
more
increases the
surface
capacity of
area.
the solar, is what that does.
I see. Cool.
It also, it's a nice space too, but.
It is a nice space. Yeah,
And then we looked at the building too and said, gosh, get solar on one side, it looks kind of like it's going to fall over with a shed roof, so we matched it on the other side to balance it
all
architecturally.
right. I missed that there was solar on those porch roofs too.
Yeah.
So, cool. That's it for now, unless I think of something else.
Vice Chair Cobden, any questions?
Yeah, I may as well. I love this barn. I used to live in the neighborhood and I'd walk by it every day. So I'm very excited to see this happen. I'm curious because I see the way that you have set things up with the shiplap. I wonder if you considered board and batten for the very long side, or I guess it doesn't matter since you have it broken up with the shed roof, but it always seemed to me that having the lengthwise horizontal board seemed, what's the word? It doesn't age well.
Say
Yeah,
that.
they start to buckle, as is the case now, but of course, I'm not, it's just a matter of preference. If you considered batten board, or,
So forgive me for my ignorance, I don't know what batten board is. Is
it's
that?
what you have on the side that faces the street, that faces Nursery. Where it's a board going
Oh, up and
vertically,
down.
And then with a little bit.
Oh, up and down, okay.
I'll add that can be done in hardy plank and hardy battens too.
Ah.
Same.
Yeah, and I'm not coming down on you for it, I'm just
Right.
curious.
The
It's the only side with that, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
one's horizontal.
So one comment I'll have to maybe address what you stated is when we put repair the foundation that's under there now, the building will become level, it will get a shear wall put on first.
Yeah.
And then the siding will go on, so we shouldn't have any of the buckling or sagging or the visual lines dipping like what it currently is. And secondly, we've got a few windows, if you can go to the north elevation. We've got that broken up on the plans, I'm sorry.
Oh, sure.
So that's the south. Yeah, there you go. So we've got that broken up with 2 man doors and 3 double sets of 3 O's. So I think that line is pretty nice.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
This
Just
is
curious.
This is the side that faces the residence, right?
Right.
The north elevation, okay.
That's it for me.
I have a few. So in one of the elevations, so that the solar array on the, where are we? The not towards your house side.
South side.
That it'll be completely covered in solar panels there?
Yes.
That's the intention.
Yeah, one of the elevations, I think, just shows a panel at the top, so, yeah, there it
There's
is.
a reason for that too, is we were talking with the solar fella, he said, we're probably limited to 1 row of large panels up near the eave, which is showing on the north elevation, because if you start moving down, you start having issues with snow and also exposure, because you have to tip the panel up in the air to catch the exposure.
Yeah,
And it also will look kind of funky, but that's why it's only showing on up near the ridge.
okay. No, that makes sense.
The panels may be going up and down and tilted, so we can gather more solar versus horizontal. That's one of the things we leave up to the solar designer.
Okay, so the driveway, is that a shared use? So does your easement like kind of cover the use of the entire driveway?
Yeah, so on the site map, can you pull up this site map?
Yep.
It's an accurate rendition of the situation. So,
It's still 20 feet away from the
It's an
driveway.
11-foot driveway here, and the access easement goes, from about here over to their property line.
And that
So-
question just goes to assuring that the encroachment really won't have an effect on the neighbor, that sort of thing, yeah.
doesn't
Right.
seem to. I would, yeah, I don't imagine, I suppose they can move the driveway to be some other place, but I don't know why. The garage is right at the end of the driveway, so it would be kind of a funky change. I don't know why they would do that.
Right,
Well, it's just a difference of 25 feet to 20 feet away.
right. And under SB 9, we get like 4-foot setback, so it's almost, but anyway. And just a question for Lisa. So if it weren't for the variance request for the increased encroachment, there wouldn't need to be a variance for the lack of setback on the front because it's existing.
They would have to shorten that shed roof on that side yard setback to not go within that side yard setback, so I'll point to it here. So this is part of the reason for the variance, is that to create that continuity of the design. It would.
On the
it would-
Nursery Street side?
Yeah, so this would need to be shortened back like that, this roof.
So quite a ways.
So it would just sort of change the look. So that, and then the rear shed roof here.
Right, both from the, it's not Nursery Street there, it's,
It is Nursery Street.
Yeah, this one
oh,
is.
Nursery Street's an L. It's a
Okay.
little odd, but,
I walk it regularly, I
Yeah.
don't know, but.
right.
And then I didn't see a color for the cladding on the windows.
It's the trim color. I
Swiss coffee.
hopefully my daughter dropped off the
Here's these.
Right, but the cladding on the window sash themselves?
That's wood, so that would be painted,
So the
is, I believe.
cladding means that it's metal on
Oh.
the sort
It's
of
wood on the inside,
outside
metal on the
side, so you
outside
don't
if
have
it's
to
clad.
continue.
Oh, okay, well, it'll be the white that the manufacturer
Okay.
has, and I'm
Swiss coffee.
not sure what that exactly is. But I suppose predominantly it would be the trim
Would you
color.
mind passing those?
Right, so
One.
it's not quite a color match for your shirt.
No. Yeah, I guess I like that color, yeah.
So the effort would be to match the trim color with the clad color on the windows. Something
Well,
like
I'll tell you, my wife picked the trim white, and whatever she picked, it's like, okay, that's good. So she made that determination.
Let's see. Yeah, I also had the same question that Amy did regarding if you've considered board and batten siding. And
We really didn't because board and bat, over time it tends to be persnickety because the bats wiggle and move and withdraw, and it's not as weather secure as, even though you can do it with hardy and 4x8 sheets. It wasn't part of the thought process.
okay, and you mentioned that, like, I think it's called a Dutch lap profile with the scooped out,
The cove, yeah.
the cove. But I believe, was that the siding that's in the hardy plank? I think circled is
Well, this doesn't necessarily represent
It's just
the
the
exact
texture.
one. Does Hardy make a Dutch lap?
I think they do.
I'm sure we've seen it before.
Yeah, it's one of the
I know the.
attractive hardy products.
But this is, did they not I thought they specified they were using a Dutch lap. Or is it a shiplap?
I got shiplap,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Is there a problem with shiplap?
I have a
Can
personal,
you go to the original picture of the original barn, please?
Mm-hmm. So there's that one. There's that one.
Sorry about my head. I'm trying to see what.
You're not in the way.
you're not blocking now.
That has kind of a cove to it. You can see like right in here pretty easily the cove. So we're trying to just match what's there.
So that's the style of siding you're
Yeah.
proposing, and not, I saw the word shiplap in here someplace, and that was my,
Well, the drafter may have forgot to put in cove.
okay. Okay, any other questions right now?
I do, just,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to tell in the pictures how this is impacting these sweet trees that are just framing it. Like, does the porch make a big difference in having to remove a lot of, I mean,
There's-
is it
yeah.
gonna have the same feeling?
So the trees, I did, in preparation, it's been a long project, right? In preparation, I took out all the junk trees and cleared out all this debris. So it's whatever the trees are now, that's it. But we've
Oh,
already
great.
done, we've done all the cutting.
So what's in these pictures are gonna stay?
That's what it is.
Beautiful. I
But-
liked these
but,
trees.
Yeah, these are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Part of the magical aspect of the property.
I
is
couldn't
those
tell exactly where they
No,
sat,
No
so,
more cutting.
wonderful.
We took everything out that had to go.
Yeah, perfect.
You good?
Yeah, great.
Okay, any public comments? Seeing none? So now we'll discuss this, and if we have any other questions as part of the discussion, we'll
Okay.
send them to you.
I feel pretty good about it.
I love it. I'm
Yeah, I
very
think-
excited. So happy that you guys are doing this.
It's a much beloved building, you know?
Sure.
And so from my perspective, part of its charm is how unfancy it is in comparison to the house, which is gorgeous. It looks like a very humble, currently it looks like a very humble accessory structure, a barn, looks like a barn. And the two different sidings, the shingles on the gable, and then the either horizontal or vertical siding on the lower story seem to be desirous of upscaling it. And its humility is what I love about it, and it makes it feel original and historic in simplicity. So that's, I'm not sure what the shingles accomplish in terms of maintaining the spirit of the building as it is and as it's beloved and as we, whatever, know it to have existed since whenever. So I have an issue with the upscaling gesture as I read it, and also aesthetically the larger head casing on the windows has a 20s craftsman arts and crafts look. Whereas I think more appropriately to an 1880s building would be casings of the same size on both the head and the legs, not extending beyond the vertical side casings, because it's not a craftsman building. And that's a design cue that, in my somewhat experienced opinion, wants to take it to a different era.
Are you talking
Am I able
about the
to speak?
trim?
Yeah, so.
It's funny you're mentioning that because when I was drafting this, I got a little bit spooked about the window comment and having to be preferably not sliders. And I added the bigger headboard for the trim. And I understand what you're saying. Easily I can change that back to 2x4, make it a square frame.
Yeah, and you're thinking one and a half casings with siding butting into it, or
It
one
would
by?
be the Hardy style, so they do the 2x4, and then they butt the siding to it.
Yeah, well, that's a good one. And you're using advantage trim
Yeah.
material?
Would it make sense to put in slider windows after all, since it's a barn and not a craftsman home?
In the era, if there were windows, they'd be double hungs, wouldn't they? Or
single.
Or fixed, or,
Yeah,
or
or
fixed
fixed,
or single
right.
hung.
Yeah.
So the closest thing to that is double hung. So I think that, personally, I think that's a good, historic homage. And the sill detail that you've got there is very, evocative of a not now time, a not current.
Yeah, it's old.
Yeah, modern windows are often just picture framed, and it looks modern if you're sort of paying attention to design cues. So that's cool. I like that. It's good. And let's see. There's a note from Lisa, I think, regarding moving back the front, or the nursery street side of the side porches.
Yeah, that's
Moving them back from
reflected
the
in the,
face.
that's actually accurately portrayed in the elevations there. I think Lisa showed that a little earlier.
So, like 2 feet? Is that
Yeah.
right?
2
2
feet
feet.
back, so. Yeah, that's if you look at that, it's a little tricky, but that's represented in the elevation. That pullback.
Okay, and do you have a response to the shingle detail, just like dressing it up?
Well,
Perhaps inappropriately, I don't know.
I mean, it's an option. We could do board and bat wherever the shingle is. I've got if you go to the elevation, east or west, there's the belly band in there.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted the belly band to kind of break up the monotony of all the siding stuff. So wherever you see shingle, I could change that to board and bat.
I think that the comment, though, is really getting at the busyness of the different material. Am I correct there?
No, it's the shingles, actually.
It's just the shingles.
Yeah.
For me, it's the
because-
busyness.
Because it's a 20s kind of thing. The board and batten in conjunction with horizontal siding is it's really common in buildings, houses of this era. So that would make it simpler looking, more humble, more barn-like, while still being decorative, a nice view from your house.
Is that barn-like, though, to have board and batten and then horizontal?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's done on residences and,
But which were not barns.
right. But it does simplify the look, and if you kind of agree with that logic, you know.
This barn does have both represented at different points, at least, you know?
Yeah, well, also, like, different sightings on different faces of buildings is pretty normal, too. But usually, like, it was something fancy on the front and something really humble on the sides where the public didn't see it.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a historic precedent for that.
Are you okay with switching to board and bat?
Well, I would prefer to have it the way it is. It's been approved by my internal commission.
Always an issue.
Yeah, so I have to voice her support for keeping it the way it is. But that would be my vote, and her vote too, as a proxy.
In the late 1800s, I know they, at least in the country I grew up, which was over by La Porte area, shingle was very, very common for old structures. If it makes any difference here or not, but
They'll be
I
painted.
didn't grow up here, so I don't know what some of the older structures have.
And I wasn't alive then. It's just it's my sense that in conjunction with the wider trim, which you're okay to, like, modify, it's an upscaling impulse for a humble building. Anyway, I'll just call that a suggestion.
Will the shingles be just painted the same?
Yeah, the same color. It's all one color.
So it might not be as like in your face as if it were unfinished wood or, you know, like a totally different.
Jennifer wants it to look like a barn still. Yeah,
I think that-
mostly red.
I think the shingles go against that a little bit for me too, like the barn, but you're more of an expert on this than I am for sure.
And
So.
I have strong opinions based on some experience.
Forgive me, I'm just doing a quick Google search of images of old barns with shingles mixed with Dutch lap. I'm not finding a whole lot, and usually that's a very useful way to at least get a temperature check. For me, as we always say, this is going to be a vast improvement, and that's ultimately what we want. When we start talking about things like shingles versus Dutch lap and board and batten, then we're just getting persnickety, I think, which can be good because ultimately it's one of these things that's going to start aging, and as previous members of the commission have pointed out, we all buy into the aesthetic of Nevada City when we buy into the city, right? This is what we want. And that's what our commission is tasked with, is this gray area of curation, which is both opinionated and sometimes ideally based in evidence. I think just from an aesthetic point of view, I find it a bit busy, and generally with barns, I think, you know, they are utilitarian structures, and if you want it to look like a barn, if it were me, I would go all of one or the other. I would not break it up material-wise. So I would say go all shingles or go, because you're correct, there are plenty of old barns that are all shingles, or all horizontal Dutch lap, or all board and batten. But I guess on one face or the other, maybe I would keep it all the same. Perhaps keep shingles on the long sides, but on like the face that is street facing, I would encourage just a single direction.
And it's more true to the original building, which
Which is mixed.
but on different faces. And,
Uh-huh.
you know, if we're trying to keep the integrity of like what this was, that's a different question too.
The porch roofs and the windows add a lot of interest, and there's a lot going on. It's not a boring structure to look at, even if the siding were all to be the same. And
That's beautiful.
I was distracted by our city attorney's head moving. Did you want to throw something in?
I did, thanks. I'm not clear, and I want to make sure we all get clear. The note I'm looking at on the plan says 1x8 Advantage V Rustic shiplap siding. And yet the discussion keeps talking about this Dutch Cove, and are they equivalent? Let's just be clear before we approve the plan that we're not, we think we're talking about the same thing, but maybe we're not. So I just wanted to ask for clarification there. Thanks.
I made that correction here a little bit ago,
Yeah.
that the word cove was omitted in error by myself, the drafter.
So the request is for the brand Advantage or Hardy, and from what I'm hearing, you're requesting the Dutch Cove, correct? And is it Advantage brand or Hardy or either, I
It's
suppose?
either.
Okay.
The Advantage is a wood product, and the Hardy's a ferro cement product.
Right, the Advantage is
It's a finger jointed.
it's a pine, pressure treated pine, that has the WUI fire resistant rating approved by the State Fire Marshal.
And I would say, so yes, Russell, it's a pretty material point, and so the motion approval, if we do that, will include the correct siding. And it could be either the Advantage or Hardy product, but generally we're approving Hardy products in areas that are not like visible in the historic district, like areas between buildings where fire is a real thing. And so in this case, it'd be fine, I think, in this location, because it's not in the historic district. So whatever your preference would be there, as long as we're clear that it's the cove stuff, which is a better looking product than the shiplap stuff. And it's a smooth finish, not the wood grainy one.
They have the wood grainy one.
I thought we had the wood grainy one as a proposal. That looks more accurate to me. Or more, anyway, accurate, anyway, more same, for like, I think we say.
Since we're discussing and not, I have an opinion on that there, she laughs.
I mean, I have an opinion too, but.
Yeah, the wood grainy stuff is, I mean, it reads to me like imitation old, right on the surface. Like, we're trying to be rustic, but this is a brand new building. And so for historicity, a smooth finish, I think, would be preferable.
Its actual siding is pretty much a smooth finish. It's not a rust-on or textured or.
On the main building?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
You mean on the barn or the
The
house?
barn.
Yeah. We could switch it to smooth. I didn't, you could well be right. I know what you mean. That
Yeah.
Because it's manufactured, there's going to be some replication pattern in your spot. It was such a big surface, and then the whole thing looks kind of goofy. So we could do smooth.
yeah, it looks like imitation genuine rather
Yeah.
than genuine.
Right.
That's my take on it. And then we are like trying to make this feel like the original building.
Here's one image of something that's new with the shingles and the board and batten with the belly board.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think, I'll take it back. It's-
Or-
Huh?
Is that here?
No, I just found an image. I'm just trying to get a better idea, because it's one thing when it's in the relief, and it's another thing when it's in like an actual photograph.
And then I had a question. So I looked at the building today, like with a really how much of this can be saved kind of eye.
It's a good question.
And I just wonder if you've really analyzed, what do you hope to save?
Well, all the framing, essentially. And that means a lot of the beams, all the interior beams, that'll carry a lot of the character. It may even be cheaper to tear it down and start over again, but then it's like, oh my
That's
gosh.
almost always the case, right?
Right? And then but again, we didn't really want to do that. I don't even know how much this project's going to cost, but it's probably more expensive to reinforce and do this than to take it down. But we're committed to doing that.
Right.
Yeah, you can't
We
find
also-
those timbers anymore.
Yeah.
We also pulled an engineer in too, obviously, and he took a look at the structure, and he does feel it's doable, and that a lot of the main part of the frame will remain, but we may have to, this studs rotting off 2 feet, we have to add a stud next
Right,
to it,
right.
cripple it up.
And then reframing for the windows and doors, that sort of thing.
Yeah, there'll be reframing for that, obviously, but all in all, I think most of the larger structural aspects, we're gonna be able to save it. Beams, the old trusses, some of the old trusses have these rods that go from end to end,
Yeah.
and metal plates that go through the floor, it's pretty trippy.
Right, so it is worth saving that stuff.
We think so.
Yeah, we really would like to try to save.
Yeah.
I did that with a project I did. It was kind of a tear down, but I replaced everything under the floor, brought it all up to level, and chiropractic it back to level and plumb and stuff. And I don't know if it was economically feasible, but I did save an old house essentially. Okay, yeah, that question went to will you discover at some point that it's a tear down, or you've done sufficient advanced work to?
We didn't get bids on the 2 different ways to go, but we did bring an engineer in to make sure that we weren't nutty, right?
Yeah,
Completely nutty at least.
okay, yeah, that answers my questions, concerns about your intent toward preserving as much as you can structurally. I'm hearing there's some interior charm that's worthwhile.
Yeah, completely.
So I think I'm hearing consensus on the demo permit and the variance. Is that,
Yeah.
okay? Would
Like a
anybody?
motion?
Would anybody like to make a motion? And we could even start with a motion for those 2 and do the architectural review second, or somebody can put it all into one.
Our designer would like to make a statement.
We talked about the shingle. and
That's
we
the
never-
architectural review.
We're starting with the variance request, and yeah, we're going bit by bit. There's
We have
several
multiple
here.
motions to make.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, no, we get it like
I
that.
think we do need to discuss that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to make a motion to approve the variance and the demo as presented in the staff report.
I'll second.
And to find the project
Is that a separate motion, the
exempt
CEQA?
from CEQA.
You can do it together, that's fine.
I'll do all 3 together.
I'll second. Oh, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sisco Martinez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden?
Yes.
Chair Nye?
Yes.
And does that just leave us with architectural?
Yes.
Okay.
We're almost in business.
Yeah, go ahead, Ann.
It sounds like we want to make sure that what we approve maybe mentions 3 things so far that seems like maybe are kind of agreed on, which is like changing it from shiplap to Dutch cope, the smooth siding and maybe the different window frames. You kind of wanted those 3 things. They feel kind of extra important, right?
Yes.
I don't know if we
So-
all have to agree on it, but they could be part of a motion. Do you feel okay about those 3 changes? It seems like the shingles are the ones that are a little more, okay, so I just wanted to get that out of the way, like that's something maybe we
You're
could put into
conducting
a
a
motion.
straw poll. Saying
Okay.
3 yeses, yes?
3 yeses,
Yes.
okay. And the shingles thing, is it not, do we feel that it's not historical? Do we feel that it's not, I guess there's not necessarily a we, but is it an opinion thing or is it something that we can really?
I'd rather this not turn into like a debate or like a check-in with each other and.
Okay,
like,
sorry.
Convince each other.
No, I'm not trying, I'm wondering if we really have a right to, like, if it's an opinion,
Yeah.
or if it's really something we're allowed to say no, if it's not historical, because I don't know as much about this particular thing, and I don't want it to be an opinion-based
I think.
thing. If it's really okay and it checks all the boxes, it should be okay.
I'll
you know?
insert, I think I feel that we are at liberty to discuss and support our positions or not.
That's what we've been doing. I'm happy to read the section about architectural review and the planning commission's purview. I think we're pretty familiar with it, but I'll just do it again here. Probably have it here, actually. Planning Commission shall review applications that include a change in materials, in this case, the siding and roof materials. And then, just as a reminder, architectural review permit is required, and the Planning Commission shall be the architectural review committee for all applications for the erection or exterior alteration of any building and structure, or the removal, demolition, or raising of any structures. No building of special historical or architectural interest or value, or as an example of mother lode architecture, shall be demolished or torn down unless the Planning Commission makes a finding that such building has become so damaged, dilapidated, ... And then if a structure is torn down. And then the city's goal in requiring architectural review is to implement the goals of the city's general plan by preserving the character of Nevada City architecture in terms of historical value, site coverage and planning, volume and massing, materials, general design, and details. Historical work must be in strict keeping with the mother lode era, as further discussed in the title. Preservation of original historic materials is strongly encouraged. And then the Planning Commission shall review each application on its own merit in the context of the neighborhood. Plywood siding might be acceptable in one area of town on modern homes, but not in a neighborhood of old Victorians in new projects. And then it does say, however, any modern building material can be used on new homes outside the historical district. And it goes into a little bit more about mother lode architecture.
And this is outside the historic district.
This is outside the historic district.
It's easy to forget because it's such a historically significant house.
Right. So the context of the neighborhood.
I mean, directly next to this is a very modern
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
I will say that I'll approve what's there. I would encourage a consistent, single, uniform face, but if that's outside of what you want to do, I'll stop there.
And I also side toward simplicity and humbleness of the structure. It's not the hill I will die on. Uh, Ann?
I feel a little confused about loving the building and wanting to change that part of it, because it does feel like it's a huge change to the character of it. And again, I'm fine with it if that's what you want to do. I just, again, along with them, I would encourage the uniform face, but it's really okay. It's your building. And it's not going against, what's allowed, so, that I can tell.
I'll hazard a motion. Can I see your notes?
Yes, if you can read my hand, approval of Dutch Cove, smooth siding, different window frames.
So I would like to make a motion to approve with the following modifications, the architectural review, to specify that in lieu of shiplap, a smooth Dutch Cove siding is used, and that in lieu of the windows presented, a simple picture frame?
No, just evenly, 3.5, all window casings, 3.5.
Are used.
Yes.
And in addition, that should, after consideration, the owners see the merit of keeping a uniform siding that excludes two, either like shingles or Dutch Cove, and uses just one, they should be free to do so
Without an extra.
without an extra review.
Yeah, so allowance for the siding to be either continuous on the whole building or as presented. Okay.
So that way, if you have a discussion, you change your mind, you can do it, but otherwise, you're good to go. That is my motion.
I'll second that.
Thanks.
Good job. Thank you.
Commissioner Cisco Martinez? Vice Chair Cobden?
Yes.
Chair Knight?
Yes. Now you're in business.
Motion?
Thank you
Thank you very much.
for your patience.
Oh, no worries.
Well, thanks for doing this work. This is, anyway, once a month, right? And plus all the pre-work and the post-work, so.
Yeah.
We love Nevada City for a reason, so thank you again.
I know you do, yeah.
My wife is a mayor and I'm in the city council, so it's time. You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you get paid so much.
It's a lot.
In knowledge and learning.
Yeah, good luck with
you.
that. I hope your plans go well.
Yeah.
Thank you for your
Big
patience
budget.
out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
make those changes.
We're excited to see
It's
it.
going to look beautiful.
Yeah, no matter what, it's just
We'll have a
so,
party.
Barn
a
party.
barn party.
Barn party.
Barn, yeah.
Yeah.
A hoedown.
We'll put on a show.
Join a garage band. Thanks, you guys.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
Already did that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good.
Historic District sign, item 6, 115 South Pine Street, Petra. Hello.
Hello.
You have your work apron on?
I
All right.
do. Ran right over.
Did you almost forget?
I was just, we've been having a little lunch rush, so
I know, I figured I sent you a message.
thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. Would you like me to introduce
Yeah,
this item?
would you please introduce the sign?
So restaurant owner Jade Benetatos is proposing a sign for her new restaurant at 115 South Pine named Petra, Modern Mediterranean. The size of the sign is 24 inches by 55 inches, and it is out near the sidewalk on Pine, and is proposed to hang from the existing structure that exists there next to the parking spaces. The sign is two-sided, has a font that is called Cinzel, and it's proposed to be wood with painted lettering. One side will be the wood color with black lettering, the other side will be black lettering on a gray painted wood. And I did a little bit of research on the font. Commissioner Brown had sent me a message regarding the font. So I did my own research today, and I didn't see what he had seen, but what I found is from one website describes Cinzal as a typeface inspired in 1st century Roman inscriptions and based on classical proportions. However, it's not a simple revivalism. While it conveys all the ancient history of the Latin alphabet, it also merges a contemporary feel onto it. So I'll go ahead and show the images here. So this is the sign hanger. I'm sure we're all familiar with it. It sits out in front of the building here, so the sign would hang on that. Anything you'd like to add that I may have missed? Jade?
No, the font is the lettering from the logo, but the logo has it rounded, so I just flattened it out for the sign. So it's similar to the logo, but it's not exactly. The logo also includes a small like olive graphic. And so this is just the words and no graphic. And then straightened out. Pretty simple, just so people know we're there.
Any questions?
I have one. Just curious why, which side is going to be
Double side.
wood and which side's going to be, and why?
It
It's
might
interesting
sound
to
silly,
me.
but it is like a feng shui thing.
Doesn't
But
sound
it's
silly.
south facing is supposed to be the wood side. And then the north facing is the gray side.
Cool. I'm glad that I asked.
Yeah, I know it's like woo-woo, but
We live in that. It's great.
That's where we live.
That's those are good reasons.
I know, I think that's a great reason.
Nailed it.
Is the, did you, if we're.
I had the same question, so that's that.
I wasn't going to ask. I didn't want to intrude. No.
I didn't want to include it in the application just in case, you know.
But here we are.
You guys are asking. Cool.
No,
Is
that's
the-
cool.
The Stonington gray, that's the body color.
It's the same as the color of the
Yeah.
facade, yeah.
Any public comments on this? None? Discussion?
I think it looks great.
Will you, the chain links are shown, will you paint those or something so they're not bright?
I can, yeah.
Because
They're
the rusty
shiny,
metal.
the other like steel metal or whatever.
Yeah, like the rusty metal thing, it really shines, so, yeah.
Oh, we could rust them up.
Right.
Rust them on up, please.
Well, it's
Right.
galvanized, it looks like, so paint might be better. Or at least that part.
Well, there's that spray on, anyway, but,
There's one piece of stainless and the rest is galvanized, yeah.
yeah, just something to tone the connection down, because that sign standard is so sculptural. Is the sign, the shape of the sign proposed to be like just square corners or any radiuses on the corner?
I wasn't thinking so. I was gonna keep it square, just easy. Is it preferable to round the corner?
It was an impulse I had, but if the commission, if the other commissioners aren't fans of it, and if you're not, you know.
Yeah, just an extra project.
Said like someone who's been working very, very hard. I'll comment that the font is, it bespeaks the food items you have. It really says it, just the font itself. It really communicates well. It's really, really classic, so. I think it's
Thanks,
a
I
great
was
choice.
happy to hear the description actually that you looked up, Lisa, so that it all makes sense, yes. Thanks.
Can I do it?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
would you like
Never
to?
first. I motion to approve this sign as is, with all of its feng shui beauty and with its square corners, and with a suggestion to maybe paint or something, but yeah,
You could
that's
make them black like the.
Dirty up the hardware.
dirty up
Dirty
the
it up.
hardware.
How about a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Sisco Martinez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden?
Yes.
Chair Knight?
Yes.
And congratulations on opening.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Come
Excited to
on
try
down
it.
for lunch, you guys.
Very
This is
good.
part of my list of things to do this week. Is
I
it?
hope the
I
commute
saw
back to
Lisa the
work,
other day. That
I
was,
hope the commute back to work isn't too tough for you.
I know, right? I'll roll right down.
You can actually go out that door too. It's even faster. Pop
Thanks
right
for
out.
coming in. We have another sign approval
Another
next.
restaurant.
Yay, restaurants.
300 Commercial Street, Dakan. Won't you come up and join us? Is that the pronunciation, Dakan?
Restaurant Takan, yeah.
Would you introduce this for us, Lisa?
Garrett Takan.
Restaurant owner Garrett Dakan is proposing a sign for his new restaurant at 300 Commercial Street. And the proposal includes 2 signs that are each 48 by 23 inches above the entrance to the restaurant and on the Pine Street side of the building above the sidewalk. It is the location of the 2 signs that existed for 111 Kitchen previously. The colors that are proposed for the sign are gray with a brown text. So the Revere pewter would be the color, the main color on the sign, and then Clinton brown for the text features. There's no picture per se, but there's an image of a knife on the D, and then the lettering, it has Restaurant Dakan, and then below says locally sourced, handcrafted, world influenced. Total sign area is 15.4 square feet. I did verify that that was appropriate for the size of the lot and the allowances. And I have a good picture here that I'm going to pass around. And it'll be relevant also for it's in your staff report, but it'll also be relevant for the next item on your agenda, which is a repaint of the bottom portion of this building. So I'll go ahead and let Garrett add anything I may have missed in regards to the sign.
Yeah, it's basically the same dimensions and shape of the pre-existing sign with the pre-existing sign holders, which are actually black and not very shiny, those holders. So yeah, I think it's matching the interior design and the aesthetic of Nevada City and that color scheme, which I like. Naturally, that palette, which was the historic option, so I think it will be fitting nicely to what we're doing as far as the restaurant goes.
Yeah, that's good. I did forget to mention that both colors are from the Benjamin Moore Historic Palette, Historic Collection.
Questions? Amy or Ann?
Not yet. You might spark something, but,
Oh, I have one. What color's the knife?
oh, I guess I thought that too.
I believe is the same color as the font.
Okay.
Oh, it comes off as a very different color. The font is a dark brown and the knife looks to be a taupe.
Here, I can share.
Do we have a color variation on that?
I think there's a color variation on that logo, but we're happy to match it to the D.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, it makes it less confusing if
Yeah.
I would not want them to be the same color.
Yeah, I think my understanding was that they were going to be matching the same color as the font. I don't know why it's not the same on that image there. But we're happy to make that adjustment so that they're all, so it's matching.
I was just saying I would not want it to be matching, because then it's visually
Kind of cutting it out. like-
confusing. I think.
The logo itself has a little bit more detail in the knife.
Any public comment out there? Apparently not, so we'll get into discussion, I guess, at this point. If it was the same color as the font, it would look like a not D. It would look like some other letter. I think legibility would suffer if it was the same color. But I also have an aesthetic response to the knife. It looks like a murder weapon that's been inserted into the D. And I don't know if that's, I don't know, it's a little, it bugs me a little bit. And I don't know that a knife is necessarily inappropriate for as a symbol for your restaurant. But and personally, I like the large K in the middle. I like your fonts. I like the way it's laid out. But I have a concern about the knife. It looks violent.
But is it consistent with Motherlode?
Well, it was a violent
Have you
time,
considered a pistol?
Maybe a pistol. I don't tend to cook with a pistol as much as a
A
knife.
more rustic knife, maybe.
I think you've seen 8 out of 10 chefs have a knife tattooed right here.
Sure,
He doesn't
yeah.
have that one.
You got to put it somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no, she's back.
I'm also not entirely attached to the knife. We have our menu logo, which is going to be on the interior of the building, and our social media has a little bit different look to it. But for the signage outside, I think the important thing for me is the verbiage about what we're doing and the name, obviously. So I would be willing to take that suggestion.
We're in a position to kind of curate the signage in Nevada City, and there's lots of room for creativity, and I feel like we've done a good job, and I hope you agree.
Absolutely.
That everything's sort of within a context, and everybody's got a distinctive voice in terms of their signage. And there aren't super hard and fast rules about like how to do this, but
Though there are a few.
yeah, there are a few, and then this, conforms to those. But we curate, and I have a reaction to the knife.
Yeah.
And I don't have any particular knife trauma, aside from the fact that I've cut myself a whole bunch of times.
Tom, we have a comment from Russ.
Russ?
The knife should be pointing down. It's because the knife's pointing up.
He's right.
That's what gives it that violent.
If it was angled
Feel.
down.
Yeah.
If
Thank
it's
you,
really
Russ.
important to you.
Well, we've had a lot of discussions about the knife.
Thank you, Russell.
With the team and our graphic designer. It was originally located in the K, for example, in a few different orientations.
Okay.
So it has been a bit of a discussion. This was kind of the compromise that we agreed upon with our team, including our graphic designer. But like I said, I'm also not specifically attached to having the knife at all on the signage. If it was felt that it aligns with the look of, it's my first time doing a sign in downtown Nevada City. You guys have a lot more experience with the view of what we're trying to do, and I'm just trying to accommodate and be a part of that as much as we can and fit into what is already a beautiful and lovely downtown Nevada City. I'm very happy to be a part of that.
And every sign for us is a new adventure. Every sign design is a new adventure, and we're really hoping for creativity and for your individual voice to be like apparent in the character of your business. And if I were to move to approve this, I think it's just absolutely awesome without the knife. So I'd like to make a motion to approve it without the knife.
Can we also comment?
I'm just throwing a motion out.
I have my own things in there.
I will not second because I want to make some comments. Personally, with signs, I find this, I think it's very much in the right direction. I find it way too busy because of the 3 different fonts and the knife. and the different size of the letters. I would like to see 2 or fewer fonts. Specifically, I would remove are all 3 of these historically referenced fonts? Like, it seems like the third one on the bottom is not, that reads Army, modern to mid-century Army, but
Do you
is
guys
it?
want paper ones?
No, I see it in front of me.
I'm happy to look up the fonts.
While we're looking up that third font, just because we're talking about that third line. Sorry, this is my own thing. You have your murder knife. I have my, can there be a period after all 3 of those? Or like, can the period be shifted so they're kind of equally in between instead of it being like, that's your own thing, but that's what I would recommend.
Are those periods or commas?
They're not, I don't see commas. Are they commas?
They are periods.
Like, I don't,
No, I would
but-
also, if it's going to be a period, I would put one after world influence too.
That's my, or yeah, they could be like dots in the middle. Yeah.
between,
Or just like
sourced
either
and
down or
hand
up. Yeah,
and-
they could just be equidistant too.
Sure.
Yeah, that actually would be
Well-kerned
fine.
dots instead of periods. Any,
I'm with you though about the 2 or fewer fonts. That's the first thing that struck me about it was busy. But I do think it's like a beautiful sign too.
I mean, I guess,
And I get it, you're kind of like
The dots
stamping
are a
it
good
like,
point.
or these things. Like,
Yeah.
it reads, like, I think the,
Well, we have a strong concept.
yeah, and I think the knife feels like, we're gonna be efficient when you come in or something. Like, it feels like, I get it, but
Ode to the craft of what Garrett is,
Understood.
you know? We work tirelessly hours and.
like you're serious.
And the knife is just such a symbolism of a chef's journey and path. It's not something that's bought or purchased for you. You actually pay with your own money, your dollars, and you carry your own knives and you carry your own set. And the chef comes to work with this chef, and the cooks, they don't get paid very much, but they still spend their hard-earned dollars on the knife set that they want. And to earn the knives that you have is almost like a showcase of the history of your culinary career.
That's cool.
I understand that.
I would not mind seeing, what if the knife was situated beneath restaurant as kind of an underline?
But then that changes your whole logo, correct?
Okay.
Like, sorry.
Yeah,
own
my only
business.
beef is really with the 3 different fonts. I would rather just see 2 or 1.
I don't even know if, I know you want to have those words on the bottom. A lot of times we've said less is more on some of these signs, like, I don't know that you need them there. Like, I think it's beautiful, but I know that it seems important to you to have that, like, this is what we do. You had said that.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more complex of a menu than the previous signage, which is a very specific type of food. And a lot of people, they do ask, what are you doing? What is your food? And I feel like this helps the public to understand and defines
Okay.
what we are about. And when people ask, this is what we're about, you know, and I think that's kind of relevant. I don't disagree at all with the font. I would be happy to match, for example, restaurants and the locally sourced handcrafted world influenced with the same font as the restaurant. And I do like the suggestion of evenly spacing the periods between sourced and hand and crafted and world. And I would be willing to omit the knife for the sake of not, traumatizing anyone that walks by there.
I mean, there was, the knife in our logo is a little bit more intricate, and we simplified it for the sign.
Right.
So I'm not sure if that is better, a more designed out knife.
I don't mind the knife. And I think the words are really enticing, so It's like, I want to eat that food. So I get it. Yeah, leave it, I guess. It would be a,
Yeah, I agree with with the stuff along the bottom. I think those are important. They really delineate what kind of dining experience we're going to have. Yeah, the knife looks very murder by noir or something. Don't quote me on that.
looks like a chef's knife.
And I get it. I have very sharp cutting tools in my shop as well, and Japanese water stones and the whole bit. And yet,
I see that on your Instagram you have some different fonts, and I'm curious if you would want to use the same ones for this. Or did you make I should have asked this in the question period, I apologize.
From my opinion, the fonts for our social media is a little bit more modern than what this represents.
Yeah,
And as we're trying to align with the historical vision of downtown Nevada City, that was kind of the idea that we could be a little bit more modern inside of the building and create our unique space. And on the exterior, we're going to align with kind of downtown Nevada City and make a font that's really matching with that kind of time period.
did you find anything about the font on the bottom?
I'm kind of striking out a little bit.
the top is like typewriter or something like that.
Yeah, the top is certainly fine. Yeah, I would just, were a motion to be made, I would posit that one or the other of the fonts are used from restaurant or the three descriptors on the bottom.
Yeah, one might look better, like if you might decide, like right now you're talking about using the font from restaurant at the bottom, but it may not be as clear. You know what I mean? When you also want the clarity of what you're trying to say and not have it be, yeah. And I would like to say about the knife, if that is your logo, like, I think those things are important too. Like, I think it's important for your logo to be on your business. And if that's what it is, like, that's me. I understand what you're saying too, but I also think there's,
Isn't one of our guidelines actually to not have a logo on a business
oh,
sign? Isn't that one of our?
I'm the newest.
I should know by now. But
I'm
Well,
learning.
the design guidelines talk about if the symbol has to do with the actual conduct of the business, which a knife does, or a coffee cup, or scissors for a barber shop, or something like that. So I think within that definition, it fits.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think it's nice to have that unity throughout your business if you can, but it also just doesn't bother me. I think it's pretty.
Would you be open to using the same font for restaurant and Decon?
You mean switching restaurant to the Decon font?
Mm-hmm.
Or is like the restaurant
To
Decon
me,
your whole logo?
It makes sense because it's called Restaurant Decon. And to have them the same font makes that title more consistent when I'm reading it. I'm overthinking it at this point.
So generally, because there's 3 different fonts, we're trying to figure out a way to simplify that and to have 2 fonts. So there was the suggestion of matching restaurant and the tagline, or matching restaurant and the word Decon.
And I should also say to my other commissioners, this may just be me. It may be that the 2 of them are fine with the fonts and I'll get outvoted. So we don't need to tear it apart. That would be my recommendation, is keeping those 2 words in the same font.
The fonts are not an issue I have, though, I believe, and has a
I thought that the lowest one felt like kind of anachronistic I don't know, but it also like doesn't bother me visually. It was just the periods that bothered me more. But like, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, it's really clear, you know, and that's what you want on a sign is clarity, and if it's not, unless it's just like really not okay in this historical district, then, you know. I think it's
I'm neutral on the
okay.
font question,
I
but
mean,
if,
normally you're the most
yeah.
critical of these things.
I like this composition.
Okay,
Here's the fonts in our guidelines that serve as examples. If you can see those there. So these all have the sort of curves at the end of the letters. And then down here, this one is more, I guess, I don't know how you describe it, but it doesn't have the extra little features. So these
Yeah, none of those
two
are
sort
them.
of represent what I think the one on the bottom may be going for, except for this has like a stenciled look.
I mean, yeah, the bottom one looks like Army industry, something that you would see
Oh, I see.
stamped
Side of a
onto
crate.
the side of a
I
crate.
see the space now between the.
Yeah.
Oh, I see the spacing. Yeah, it's a stencil-y looking font, isn't it?
And I apologize if I'm just drawing us all down into the weeds.
It was
I'm
the
not
first
going to
thing
die
I
on this hill.
thought, Amy, it was the first
Okay.
thing I thought was, too many fonts.
And
Details
for
matter,
the record,
unfortunately,
like
details matter.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the font that you have in your inside font.
Right.
The restaurant?
Yeah,
on the top?
the one on your Instagram, yeah.
Yeah.
The one on the bottom, the locally sourced, handcrafted, which may read modern.
Yeah.
So many
A
fonts.
lot of,
No, we don't
This is
have
the problem with too many fonts.
We don't have an example of that, though, for the public hearing aspect of this.
So we do have a motion on the table that Tom made.
Can you repeat it for us, please?
The sign's fine without the knife. I move that the sign is fine without the knife. And I didn't hear a second.
I move the.
And the
I don't know how
the
this
centered
works.
dots between, and I would modify that to add centered dots between locally sourced, handcrafted, and world influenced as separators rather than periods.
Instead of periods.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is like a bureaucratic thing. Like, I find it fine with the knife. So I'd rather approve it in some way than not approve it. Like,
Would you like to make another motion?
can I do that? Is that how it works?
I'd like to interrupt the proceedings here, though, because if my fellow commissioners are fine with the knife, then I'm outvoted, and the question remains about the color then of the knife.
Here's an example of the knife with no color, which I'm fine with.
Are you okay with the knife?
I'm fine with the knife.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a really fun conversation.
It reads like a D.
I'm gonna
It
eat some
does.
food
Yeah,
made with
it's-
this
It reads like a
knife.
D.
The D's there.
With the knife painted the same color as the Decon.
Maybe it's a little less threatening that way.
Are you looking at Instagram?
Wait, can I see?
Yeah, we are.
I mean, I do like our
Oh, that
logo
works.
for the interior very much. We did talk about,
Oh, I don't mind that either.
Though that hasn't been presented to us
Oh,
for
it's been presented
a
by.
Here, I
public
can share.
meeting.
I do appreciate the thoughtfulness, though, of like thinking about the inside versus outside. This is really pretty. That's not what you were.
We thought that was not gonna fly.
I don't know if it would. That's
right,
for,
that was the
Is
understanding.
this
was-
what everyone's looking at?
It is. Thank you, Lisa.
I mean, I would love to have that outside, but also my intention, like I said, was to present something that everybody would agree on and that we could get a sign up there before too long and get going on our business and make
Good
food
old
for our
Nevada City
community, you know?
sign approvals.
We've done a lot of approvals this week.
Yeah.
This is our final one. Is this, if that now is on the screen, does that make it a public
Yes.
approval?
Now you are publicly
You're offering,
acknowledged.
you're offering an alternative design?
I mean, I would, the black and white I think is too stark.
But the colors of the colors that you presented here, but those fonts, is that what you're?
Yeah, I think, you know what's funny is the restaurant, ironically, the way that that font reads is like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
It's
That's
great.
what I see. Yeah.
I don't think that font fits in the
Fits
historic
downtown?
district.
Yeah.
You don't?
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
don't.
No, I was
restaurant
saying
one?
like the bottom, the locally sourced handcrafted is fine with me. Not the restaurant.
Right.
I would keep it, Decon and restaurant, keep those two the same font and then use whatever
this
for the bottom, 3 words.
That one, I think.
But the slices through the signage, if that's the graphic thing?
No.
No, that's
That's
just the
only-
tiling for Instagram.
Oh, I see, okay.
So back to what you brought up in the first place on this comment is the color of the knife. So this gets a good representation on if the knife was black on the gray background.
Or Clinton Brown.
right?
Yeah, the same color as this lettering
It's,
for
it's,
the
it's
knife.
actually, it addresses my visceral issue better. It relieves my visceral issue.
That it's not a contrasting color and it's
Yes.
not sticking out so much.
This is all subliminal. It's about, it's,
Of course, yeah.
We like other
the emotional
perspectives.
impact is important.
Like I said, you all have a lot more experience creating and approving signage for downtown Nevada City than I do, for sure.
Would someone like to make a different motion? Or,
So you're still to remove the knife? Is that-
no,
Okay.
no, because,
You've gotten.
because
this,
that,
okay.
that motion failed.
It did.
Yes.
I mean, different motion from that. I mean, I think I would like to motion to approve the sign as is, assuming this knife that we see is the same color brown, but with the font that, whatever it is, that's on your indoor, the lowest one on your indoor one. I think, even though I really like the font for the indoor, the restaurant part, I don't think that we can approve that, right? It seems it's not historical, so.
It's not, it doesn't look like Nevada
But
City.
yeah, and then just, if you're so inclined to make those periods a little bit
Yeah.
shifty, great motion, Ann. Okay.
Well,
Does anyone like to clarify my motion?
Okay, I will re-clarify. Motion to approve the sign where the knife is the same color as Decon and the font on locally sourced, handcrafted, world influenced is the same font as used in social media for those words. Additionally, periods will be centered between what the 3 descriptors equally.
I second that, thank you.
I heard 2 different things. I heard you say this one, and then I heard Amy say the one on the interweb.
I
Oh,
think
no, I meant that one, the one that
Okay.
she said, I just,
Uh,
really my.
I brought it forward.
And then the periods are not periods, they become dots.
Yes.
Become
Okay.
dots. And restaurant is as shown in our staff report.
Yes.
We still end up with 3 fonts.
Do we have a second? I think
Yeah,
you
but
s-
it's less,
so the first is by Amy?
and I second that, yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner Shisco Martinez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden?
Yes,
Chair Knight?
Yes.
thank
The
you.
translator.
And I'll ask that
And
that-
one more.
that you share the name of that font with Lisa so that it can be in the motion.
Absolutely.
The font for the bottom 3 phrases.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
But you're not done.
We're not done.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
right. We'll try to do
Oh,
that
now here comes the
faster.
hard part.
In
We're already
between,
like in
but
vacation mode, okay.
We're gonna get rid of that blue.
Okay, I'd like to pass these around. This is the paint color.
You're just replacing the blue with the Fairview taupe, okay.
Blue and then going down.
The blue and the what?
Let's get to
Oh.
the agenda item.
would you like me to introduce?
Yes, please.
Okay, so same business, same property. This is an application for architectural review for a repaint on portions of the building. You'll see in your staff report that the building is on the Sanborn map, and it is represented in the same location. So that is the original building that was built in the late 1800s. And then also, the National Register describes it as changing very little over the years, with the earliest available photographs dating from the late 1860s. So the proposal before you today is for the woodwork around the building, around the windows and the doors on the lower section of the building to be changed to a Benjamin Moore historic collection color called Fairview Taupe. So as you'll see in your staff report, the building has an upper floor, an upper story. And from what I understand from communicating with the applicant, this isn't changing up here. So this belly band feature would change to the new color, and around these windows here, and anywhere else that the applicant may describe. This was the photo that they provided to me.
I have this here too, if you guys want to pass that back.
And anything, no changes to the brick as well. Anything you'd like to add, Garrett?
No, that simplifies it, I think. And that was going to be in the lighter gray. Also, considering there's not an image for it, but from the left side of the brick there is in this white color. And the idea was to paint that also the same color as the trim.
And that is on the same face of the building on Commercial Street?
On Commercial Street, yeah.
Okay, I can pull up a picture of that.
Feels too loud.
Okay, so I see what you're talking about. That is for this over here.
Yep.
Okay.
So you would be painting that taupe as well?
Yeah, to tie in the entirety of the restaurant space, so it's a linear look and it gives a kind of dimension to what the restaurant is, bringing the visual to the patio as well.
Any other questions? So the doors, the door framing and the doors themselves would be the same color?
And the trim above the brick.
Mhm. Public comment? No. Okay, any discussion? I'd like to make a motion to approve this repaint as presented.
Second.
Commissioner Shisco Martinez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Cobden,
Yep.
Chair Knight.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Looking forward to seeing
It
you
was
guys.
easier.
That was easier, yeah.
Signs are almost never easy.
Sure, and I anticipated that, and like I said, we're really trying to align with the look of downtown Nevada City.
Thank you.
Yes.
And we're excited to remove the blue as well.
Yeah.
I love the blue.
It was.
It's your restaurant.
You know, in the interior, it was a priority for us to change and to make it a new space. And, 111, they had a nice run, and Lior gracefully handed over the situation to us, and we're just excited to make a new look and feel and space. So thank you very much for
It's a great color. It goes really well with the brick and, yeah.
When's the
it's really
opening?
good.
Just gonna ask.
So we did our soft opening last night for Victorian Christmas. We will
Wow.
have doors open again with a very small menu for Sunday, and then January 15th, we will have.
Wow, all right, soon.
All right.
Soon.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wish
Bye,
you the
check
very
this out.
best.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Last issue.
Four 32 Broad Street, re-roof in the Historic District with a change of materials.
My name is German Quintana, and I'd like to know why my permit is not approved yet from the 432.
I'd be happy to explain that. So in the historic district, in downtown and even in other parts of the city, a change in materials for a re-roof requires architectural review by the Planning Commission. So if it were a permit that was going from shingle to shingle or metal to metal, then the permit could be approved basically over the counter and as an express permit with the building department. But since it is a change in materials, it requires review by the Planning Commission. So that's why we have you at the meeting today. So on the side of the building that faces south, the structure had asbestos shingles, is that right?
Yep.
And then the roofers covered that in metal. Thankfully, they chose a material that is consistent, or in my opinion, consistent with the rest of the buildings on the property. So the north side of that structure has a silver grayish color. And you'll see that in my photos here that I will share.
Yeah, the roof, they have like 3 or 4 different silver, aluminum, and galvanized metal. So the owner, she want us to just put, something similar. So it's why we use and also we do only like probably under 20% of the roof. We consider it like, repair because she have a branch hit the roof and she have a leak. So, it's why, we try to cover it right away because, the rain season is here.
Yeah.
And I know, we have to, bring samples that, whatever material we use.
Yep.
But,
Yep, so thank you for sending those. I've got those product in your staff report. This image here and here are the new roof. And then you can compare it with the other side of the building, which is here. So you can see the consistency and the colors between the one that was existing and then the one that was more recently covered. And then I'll also make a note that the property has several buildings on it, and all of the buildings and all of the roof faces, except for the one that was recently put on, have the metal style roofing in a very similar color tone.
Okay.
So just part of the building, one of the roof pitches is being done to match the other side?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And, since she have a leak, she want us to cover it. And I agree because, she have she don't want damage underneath.
No. Yeah. So any questions?
I
No?
don't have any questions.
Yeah, looks fine. It matches the context of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Looks fine, it's good.
Yeah, and then, across the street, is the same metal we use, because it looks the same as the other one.
Yep.
I move to approve architectural review without, as presented.
Second.
Commissioner Sisco Martinez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Covenant,
Yes.
and Chair Knight.
Yes,
All right.
in business.
Zero.
And also, I have another question. The owner, she have to put another permit for sewer, And I sent her, to here to pull a permit, but she says she need a lot of stuff to do that, and I don't know what she needs to pull that permit.
Yeah, I spoke with her a few days ago and explained it to her. So the backflow prevention device doesn't require a permit.
Oh,
It
okay.
just has to be installed before this permit can be final inspected. So she'll need to reach out to a plumber or somebody to have that put in before you can final inspect the permit on the roof.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not, so can you call her again, and because she want me to explain, but I don't know, what proceed we.
Yep. So just keep in mind in the future for any projects, if there's a change in materials, that this will be the process coming to the meeting, which only happens once a month. And then
Okay,
if it's,
even if it's like repair,
yep,
like, like there, it's asbestos, they don't solve that anymore.
yeah, especially downtown here in the historic district. And then if it's a shingle for shingle, it can be just the normal roof permit, but you still have to get the city approval before you go to the building department, the planning department approval.
Okay,
Yeah,
sounds good.
okay, I'll send you an email.
Yeah,
Okay,
all right.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much, and we see you soon.
Yeah.
Alright.
I hope you
you.
get some dry weather to do this.
Yeah.
Well, right now.
Yeah, right
Go,
now.
go, go.
yeah.
That's okay, it's more business for us.
Yes,
Thank you.
Bye.
thank you.
All right.
Does that conclude our program for today?
I believe so. Let's see if I had any announcements on here. Oh, I would like commissioners to be thinking about the Planning Commissioner Academy in March. I got confirmation from one commissioner saying he was interested,
Hey.
and then another saying, very interested, need to think about it. So if you guys can get back to me by the next meeting on that, that would be great. And yes, we can talk about it more offline. And then our next meeting is scheduled for January 16th.
Cool.
Lisa.
Yeah.
And with that,
Thanks for wrangling us.
we're adjourned.